The temperature is rising in cryptocurrency. Some people might measure those in Fahrenheit, but I choose to measure it in Celsius. That's right, the number one decentralized finance project of the year that actually has roots going back all the way to the 90s. Celsius is up 2,400% for this year alone and looks like it could be pushing higher. One of the most stable projects in cryptocurrency. Today, we're going to sit down with the CEO of Celsius, Alex Mashinsky, to pick his brain on what is happening in DeFi, what is going to be the future for cryptocurrency and adoption, and more importantly, what can we expect from Celsius and the Cell token in the future? Let's get it. Hello, and welcome to BitBoy Crypto. My name is Ben. Every day I show you how to make money in cryptocurrency. If you like money, which I know you do, go ahead and please tap that subscribe button and the bell for notifications. Today, I sat down with CEO of Celsius, Alex Mashinsky, and this is one of the most thought-provoking interviews I know I've done in a long time. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it, so let's check it out. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Today, I am very pleased to be joined by the founder of Celsius, Alex Mashinsky. If you guys don't know who he is, we'll get into kind of his background and history and things like that. I think it's really important to kind of understand where Celsius has come and where you guys are going. So Alex, how are you doing?
Great, thanks for having me, and looking forward to a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to share personally, the first time I say met you, like people will say they met somebody and they like saw him at a concert, or something like that. But I went to the first cryptocurrency conference I ever went to was the Blockchain World Conference in New Jersey, in Atlantic City. And it was a disaster. The conference was a disaster. John McAfee was supposed to be there. He wasn't there. Patrick Byrne was there. He's a very, very interesting guy. And you came up on stage with Celsius. I don't know how much you had talked about Celsius before that, but it was the first time I had ever been exposed to it. And I got to hear your story and, your history with VOIP. And I was like super impressed, super interested with what you guys were doing. And then to see how far it's came since then, I mean, just congratulations to you first and foremost.
Yeah, thanks. And I remember that event viscerally because, like you said, it was much smaller than it was planned, but we had a great time. I think there were a lot of good people there that I still meet, and they're like, "Oh, I met you in that New Jersey event." So, but look, the credit goes to the community. I mean, what we've done is all powered by the community. It's their coins, it's their income. We created an engine, a mechanism, but they're the ones who are taking most of the benefit here.
Absolutely. You guys are very serious about cartoon caricatures, right?
Yeah, it started we had our own, because different people come in different types, and we wanted to make sure we had an animal for every human being, and everybody could pick. The team picked the hippo for me because I guess they want me to lose some weight. But
I love the hippo. I have a big hippo surprise coming for the people on my channel in the future. They'll know what that means.
I was hoping to be a whale. I wanted to be a whale.
Yeah, but, you became a hippo. Yeah, that's right. Man, that's so funny. So I learned the hard way not to make fun of those cartoon characters. I criticized one of the cartoon characters on the Celsius website, and I was scolded vehemently by people left and right.
Yes.
Because they're attached to real people. So they're like, this person who's represented by this will be offended. So I can't even bring it up. I don't want to bring up what happened.
That's right.
So Celsius exploded this year. We're going to get into that. Decentralized finance. You guys are one of the top DeFi projects really at this point. I don't think anybody would have probably considered you. I didn't think decentralized finance was a term when you guys started. But no. Let's get a little into your history. You are, I don't know, let me get this right. The creator of VOIP, or what do you consider yourself to be when that in that niche?
Yeah. So look, I can't take all the credit for it, but there were definitely many experiments going at the same time. There was
Was Al Gore one of these people?
Well, look, Al Gore was definitely a prominent speaker for the information superhighway, which was almost like a government version of the internet, And we called back in the early 90s, we called it. Everybody had a different name for it. Just like before DeFi, I called it MOIP, or money over IP.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I remember you saying that.
And everybody else called it DeFi, and DeFi just sounds much cooler than MOIP. So So, but there were different experiments. There was another company called Vocal Tech that tried to put voice on Ethernet, right? And I focused on TCP/IP. When I looked at all the different technologies that were out there, I realized, I don't know why, but I realized that it's going to be running on the public internet, right? And remember, this is back when the fastest modem that you could buy was 14 baud and 14.4. And that wasn't enough to even carry one conversation, meaning you actually couldn't use your modem to make a VoIP call. So the idea that you can put voice on the internet was just crazy. It sounded like completely ridiculous. So while other people worked on channels that had more bandwidth, I focused on this because I believed in the openness of the public internet, right? And I said, look, they're going to solve the speed issues, they're going to solve the security issues and all that, this other stuff. So today, 100% of VoIP is basically TCP/IP or UDP based. And the internet ate up all the other networks, right? Basically, it's the dominant network out there. I just got lucky. I was at the right place at the right time, and I wrote the patent. I built the first few gateways. So I definitely cannot say I did it all by myself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my VoIP gateway is probably the world's first VoIP gateway. So I can take some credit. You know how Watson makes that first phone call to Alexander Bell, makes that first call? That happened in our office in Fort Lee, New Jersey, back in 1994. So that is definitely predates everybody, including Cisco, including everybody else by several years.
Cisco, most known for the thong song. That's a different Cisco. I'm sorry. So let's talk about. Okay, it's easy to go into Celsius. We're getting there. We're building up to that. I want to know what happened in between there. That's what I haven't really heard you. Like, how did you go from you're all involved in VoIP, you are the Alexander Graham Bell, if you will, of VoIP, to getting involved?
That will never, that will never go away now. That's it.
Everybody
he compared himself to Alexander Graham Bell. No, look.
Well, you also compared yourself to a hippo, though. So to be fair, now we've got two. Right. Have a hippo with a telephone. This will be really the image. From this
so just a little bit of background. So I was born in the Ukraine. My parents immigrated to Israel right before the 1972 war. I grew up in Israel, went to the military there and this and that. And I flunked through college, actually flunked through 2 colleges. And actually I had to go to Europe. I had a business deal in Paris, and it was cheaper to buy a ticket to the US with a stop in Paris than to go directly. So I was in Paris, I was doing this thing, and I have this free ticket to the United States. And I'm like, and I had, I had a little bit of money in a plastic bag, like a shopping bag. I didn't even bring any clothes because I thought I'm only going to be in Paris for a few days. And I'm like, you know what? I know one guy in New York, he's a friend of mine in New Jersey. I'll call him. He'll pick me up at the airport at JFK. And I land at JFK and he doesn't show up. And I'm like, what do I do now? So I took the bus to 42nd Street, like the bus from the airport to 42nd Street, because I think it was $14 or something like that. It was the cheapest ride you can get. And I never came back. I mean, I never went back to Paris. I never went back to Israel. Well, I visited, obviously. My parents lived there, my 3 sisters. But landing in the United States is like seeing the world for the first time, because after you've worked in Europe and after you've worked in other places around the world, and most Americans just don't appreciate that, right? They just don't travel enough. And when they travel to a fancy hotel or to a fancy place that...
Well, I like hamburgers. I like hamburgers with ketchup only, and they don't do that in a lot of other countries. So I like to stay here.
So they go to a place where everybody speaks English and everybody treats them just like they treat them in America, right? So, but my point is that when you're a foreigner and you come to this country, and the willingness of people to work with you, to listen to your idea, they don't care where you came from, what pedigree do you have, did you graduate from Oxford University or whatever. And I didn't have any of those things, right? So automatically I just clicked, right? I was like, I love this place, right? And before Celsius, I did 7 startups as a founder, one after the next, bang, 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 right? Raised over $1 billion, all venture-backed, 7 venture-backed companies, $3 billion in exits. I thought I was done, right? I was like, I'm going to retirement. I don't want to work anymore. And and I became miserable. I was like, my wife was like, go find something to do, you know, like, so, and my co-founder, Daniel and Nuke, you know, they both nagged me about this thing, about crypto. And I'm like, God, you know, like I've looked at it in 2009. I looked at it in 2011. I looked at it after Mt. Gox. I even have some coins. Like, what do you want from me? And they're like, you don't get it, right? You don't get it. Usually you are ahead of the curve. Usually like you're the first guy in. Here you're going to be the last guy in, you know? So I was like, what do they want? Like what's going on? Because I am an efficiency freak, right? When I look at the phone network, I was like, what a wasted network, right? TDM, time division multiplexing. Most of the time, 90% of the network is just sitting idle. Of course, if you put it on TCP/IP and you did asynchronous packet transfer, you could do much more with the same bandwidth, right? So for me, wasting mining, wasting communication where 10,000 nodes talk to each other all the time to keep a network going, a distributed ledger, was colossal inefficiency. So it was very, very hard for someone who's very technical. I have like 50 patents on everything that we use, you know, like anything that's on TCP/IP, I had my finger in it one way or another, you know. So I know how everything works, right? I mean, for me, it's like, if I don't sleep at night unless I know how something works all the way down to the atomic level, right? So it was very important for me to understand what I was missing, right? And when after Mt. Gox, that was like an event that I was like, this thing should be dead.
Yeah, 100%. That's when I had sold all my crypto at that point. I thought it was over for sure.
Exactly. Like, how is it still alive? You know? Yeah. So it forced me to rethink what I thought was obvious, right? Well, why do you need this? And eventually I realized that the double spend problem is not just, because look, I tried to do money transmission over the internet back in 2003. I was doing email attachment. Basically, I'll send you an email, I'll attach a document, I'll verify that it's authentic through encryption, but it didn't have the double spend thing, right? It didn't have the distributed ledger. So I knew the components, but I didn't get the big picture. And when finally I got the big picture, I said, okay, well, now I understand what the network is about. How do we replace the current financial system with something that acts in your best interest? That was my challenge. And that took me another 2 or 3 years to really find a formula, find the kind of like this flywheel that we have that always acts in the user's best interest. Because unfortunately, many of the systems and companies in crypto are just copying the worst practices that Wall Street have, fees upon fees upon fees. And I wanted to create something that really built something new, built something that was so much better than the existing infrastructure that I want to leave behind.
Yeah. So if it's no fees, right, and it's all for everybody else, then like how do you make money though? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like what? Yeah. So I mean, you're obviously not like, none of us are out here like 100% altruistically like, hey, I just like to get and talk crypto. Like, hey, content creation is my career now, you know? So like what is, it's free, but then,
Sure.
you know, what are you guys doing on that end? Yeah. What's the
business model? Look, and that is a great question. And it bothers me that they never teach you any of this stuff. Even you can graduate in PhD in economics, and you go to that graduate and you say to him, okay, explain to me how banks make money, or explain to me how Goldman Sachs or somebody else makes all their money, and they won't be able to explain it to you. So most banks make their money 2 different ways, right? One is they charge fees. So they charge you the ATM fee. They charge you money to deposit your stuff. They charge you an activity fee. They charge you a checking account fee. They charge you ATM fee to withdraw your money, right? Overdraft fee, you name it. They have 100 different fees. But what most people don't realize is that most banks, if you look like at JP Morgan, you say, okay, they made $30 billion in profit last year. Most of that actually didn't come from the fees. It came from you giving them your money almost for free, right? They pay you 0.1%. And then they turn around and they lend your neighbor, right? Your neighbor who's using a Chase credit card pays 24%. So they pay you 1% or 0.1%, and your neighbor pays 24%. So your money is making money because they lent it to your neighbor, but you're not making anything on that money. So they're a middleman. They're a toll collector in the middle between you and your neighbor, but they get to keep 90% of the value, right? Yeah. So the most people just don't understand how money makes money. That is the piece that is missing. So if you could just take this formula of money making money, right? And you Celsius kept 20% and you gave 80% to the depositor instead of giving 90% to the shareholders. Because what JP Morgan and other banks do exceptionally well, Goldman Sachs, every one of those guys, is they give all those profits to the shareholders, to Warren Buffett, to all their big whales who own big giant chunks of the bank. So what we decided to do is just do what basically Amazon, or Costco, or all these companies did. Always act in the best interest of the customer, and then you can build some of the world's largest companies. That's how all these guys got successful.
Yeah, and I mean that's how a lot of we're kind of seeing like a turning point with the tech world where it was about that, and then a lot of the big tech companies, they've kind of hit a point where they're going the opposite way. I mean, I think Google's slogan used to be "Do no evil," I think, something like that, and now we most of us consider them like the evilest company in the world.
Right. Facebook skipped that part. They're like, we don't even have to say
they
that.
Just went straight to evil.
Straight to evil.
Yeah, well, they were, born out of stealing the idea from the Winklevoss twins.
Dr. Evil. That's what they're.
Evil.
Doctor. They have a doctorate in being
but
evil.
He sure does love to smoke meats. So, Celsius has exploded this year, though. And I think for me personally, knowing, kind of seeing the plan near the beginning of what you guys were doing years ago, or at least what I saw as the beginning of it, it took a long time. The custodial services, your interest rates, like they were doing good. I've used Celsius. I actually did a fantasy football league last year, and we all took Bitcoin and we paid and we all put it in Celsius, so it earned interest, throughout the season. Which unfortunately last year it was worth less than when we put it in the beginning. But hey, we're moving on to bigger things, moon things here this year. But so I've used Celsius before. I like it. I think it's a great service. But like the price of the coin, it seemed like it took forever to really get some momentum. And now this year, it really finally hit. What has that been like for you guys as a company, seeing the valuation of your coin go up? And, I know on like one hand, it's like you feel validation because you know what you're doing is good, but like that had to be kind of validating for the company at the same time.
Sure. And look, I got to give credit to the community for sticking around with us, right? I mean, all the people that I meet to say, look, I bought in the ICO, I stuck around for 2 or 3 years, I waited for it to come back, and so on. So we did not follow any of the kind of like the normal path that most ICO did. But the normal formula was create it as fast as you can, pump it up, right? List it on as many exchanges as you can, dump on the community, move on, right? Do another one. So that wasn't our plan. Our plan was, we didn't care about the price of Cell token. What we wanted to do is deliver a product that people wanted to use. And we knew that the Cell token will take care of itself. Why? Because the more users we have, the more deposits, the more earnings, and the more earnings, the more people are going to want to use Cell. So it did kind of rocket in the last few months, right? It's up 2,400%. It's one of the best performing tokens out there. And it's holding very nicely. Like, like right now, DeFi is down like 50%.
Oh yeah, murder.
And Cell token is near all-time highs, right? So I think that just tells you how strong the community is. Also, Celsius is by far the largest holder of Cell token. We have half of all the tokens, and we've never sold them, right? So we are sitting on half of the tokens, and every week we go to market. Like this week, we'll be buying $653,000 worth of Cell token from the market, right? We're gonna go to Liquid, we're gonna go to Uniswap, and we're gonna be buying that much token where everybody else is just dumping token on you, right? So when the largest holder of Cell is buying constantly, that where the price is going. So the model, it's all about the model, right? Is the flywheel.
Tokenomics are everything. I mean, that's what we learned, right? Like, I especially over the last year, we've really learned that, you can have a great project that has poor tokenomics and it's dispersed poorly, and utility, it can be good, but the price can drop like a rock, and then you can have stuff that's absolute crap
Yes.
out there that's got great fundamentals, and it shoots up to the moon.
Exactly. And look, Celsius was the first company to basically say, here's a wallet, deposit anything you want in it that we support and earn in kind, right? You put Bitcoin, you earn more Bitcoin. You put Ethereum, you earn more Ethereum, right? There wasn't anything like that before Celsius. Then we added another feature. We said, okay, now you can deposit Bitcoin and earn sell, or deposit Litecoin and earn sell, right? So when you see DeFi like Compound and others, basically they all copied the Celsius model. What did Compound do? They said, give us Ethereum and we will pay you comp. So, and they did it only after sell was up 1,000%, right? So Compound 1.0 didn't have any of those features, right? Only Comp 2.0 and Aave, which used to be ETHLand, they all added that functionality. The problem is that Celsius does that 365 days a year, what I just described. Comp only does it for 60 days. Uni only does it for 60 days. Aave only does. So what happens after 60 days, right? So the main difference between us and the other DeFi guys is that we, basically all of our income, most of our income comes from institutions. We lend to institutions and exchanges, right? Only 10 or 15% comes for DeFi. And when you look at Compound, 100% of their lending goes to retail. And those people are not borrowing because they need a loan. They're borrowing because they're redepositing it back in Compound, right? They're doing farming all day long. So that is just not a sustainable business model, right? And we all know that. But
it's good. It's good when the price is going up. When the price is going up and things are pumping, it's a pretty good model. But then, what we're seeing now is when all of a sudden it
because you're waiting to dump on the guys who are coming behind you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
It's
so
like
come on. So let's call a spade,
Yeah.
So there is no dumping on anybody in Celsius.
Right.
You're not dumping on anybody, right? You have to have your assets to earn in that token. So I think our business model is still, even though people think they copied us, they didn't copy us, because the piece that's hard is to have multiple exchanges. Like we launched with Line, which is twice as big as PayPal, by the way, right? Line has over 600 million customers. The only partnership they have in crypto is with Celsius Network, right? So we launched with them in Japan with BitMax. We launched with them in the United States with Bitfront. We launched with Bitfinex, right? The only way you can earn interest in Bitfinex is with the partnership with Celsius. So all these things are giant exchanges who are saying, we launched with Mode in the UK, right? We launched in Bitwala in Germany. So these are the largest operators in each country kind of saying, we're going to add interest income and we're going to do it with the A player that we know, right? So, and all the income from that goes to the community. So these are things that, like, again, everybody can say, oh, I'm doing everything in the best interest, blah, blah, blah. But you have to show it in results. Are you paying the highest interest in the market? I can say to you today, we're on every coin we have 41 coins in our wallet. We pay the highest interest of anyone on every one of those coins. And my challenge, my beef with some of the other DeFi guys is that if you want to be purer than Celsius, you're telling me you're a pure DeFi, great. I'm paying 80%, so you should pay 90%. Your rates should be higher, not lower, right? Go on Compound and look at the rates that they have published and look at our rates, right? So the rates speak for themselves. The community speaks for itself. We have almost 2 billion in assets on deposit, and it's growing faster than anything else. And again, we paid close to $60 million in interest. Again, more than anyone else in crypto. And we have we created 50 millionaires, sell millionaires, who basically the people who stuck with us through the hard times.
Yeah, if you own Celsius, you definitely don't want to sell.
No pun intended.
No, it was intended, and it was bad. Yeah, so very interesting. So I think that, the one thing that is kind of separating these other projects, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, they're offering yield farming where people are able to make these absolutely insane returns. And so when people look at the prospects of, hey, over here, with Curve at different times, like you make 600% APY, and Celsius is offering, is it 12 on Bitcoin, 12%?
6.2% on Bitcoin.
6.2% on Bitcoin. But yeah, there's no lockup period on that though, right?
No lockup.
Yeah. And that's to me, that's a huge sell. No pun intended this time. A huge selling point for you guys is that you don't have lockups. Like Crypto.com, you got to lock up for 1, 2, 3 months. And I hate locking stuff up for time periods because the market fluctuates. I'm like, I think right now I can do something different with the money, and then it's stuck. So I like that you guys don't do those. But
yes, let me touch on that because it's a very important point. So first, I think crypto.com lowered the rates dramatically. So I think
they
did
did 2%. Absolutely. Bitcoin. Yeah, and the prices dropped.
If you know how to take your Bitcoin, turn it into wrap Bitcoin, and put it on this or that exchange, and you know how to, and you have enough money, like you have, I don't know, at least $20,000 or $30,000 worth of wrap Bitcoin, and you have the matching ETH, and you can put it on Uniswap or whatever, maybe it's worth it. Because for most people, if you just have $1,000 or $2,000, the gas fees and the wrapping fees and it's gonna eat away. You think it's 600%, but net, you're probably gonna earn less than Celsius for the entire year, right? So for most people, the beauty of Celsius is that you just put it in the wallet and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to check it. You don't have to move it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to spend your time living the DeFi 24/7 cycle, right? So that's really the main advantage. And that's why we think that basically what we created applies to 100 million new people that have not yet joined DeFi or have not yet joined crypto, right? That's what we're trying to capture. Like if you're a pro and you know what you're doing and you got plenty of capital, good for you. Go do it. You don't need me to charge you 20% to do that stuff, right? That's really
we just call it being a degenerate. So that's what. And I'll be honest with you, I'm on the underbelly of crypto. I love the degenerate Uniswap gambling. But here's the thing, like I don't recommend that life for other people. I think what you guys are doing.
Right. The rates now on Uniswap for like USDC, ETH, for example, are down to single digits, right? So, because they have 3 billion locked. So what you thought you were making for the first, 10 or 15 days, guess what? You're not making that anymore. So a lot of people just don't know how to do math, and they think they're earning 45%, but when they look it up with the impermanent loss and all this other stuff, they may be down, not even up.
No, trust me, I've lived that life. I think what it boils down to is, like, for me personally, knowing a lot of crypto projects, a lot of crypto teams, a lot of DeFi, a lot of newer DeFi projects. I just think what it comes down to is Celsius, out of all of the DeFi projects, and I guess we could kind of get into maybe in a few minutes about like CoinMarketCap not classifying you as DeFi. I don't even know what they use to classify, but you guys are the most solid. Like if you want to make money and you want it to be safe and you want it to be with a trusted entity and you want to be able to predict the amount of money that you're going to make, then Celsius is your go-to. I mean, I wouldn't say that about literally any other DeFi project. Like, I feel like you guys are probably the #1 safest place to put your money in DeFi. And
we support 30 coins that are not on, you cannot do anything with on DeFi, right? So if you have Litecoin, how are you going to earn money on DeFi with it, right? And so I agree with you. I think, and I thank you for that compliment. We're not in any way saying, look, we solved all the problems. I am a big fan of Uniswap, for example. I'm a big fan of many projects. I think Ava is doing a great job that are experimenting and trying to push the envelope on, how do we eliminate impermanent loss? How do we extend credit, right? All that stuff. So in no way I want people who see this say, oh, Alex is claiming he invented this and he wants all the credit to himself and he wants a parade, right? That's not the point. The point is that when I see people charge crazy fees, and when I see people like SushiSwap, right? I mean, giving himself 15% of every transaction. People didn't even understand that because no one has time to go and read the smart contract and figure out, how much does this guy get with that guy? And then stealing all of that, pulling a carpet rug, under the people who trusted them. So these are the things that hurt the community. They hurt the trust, and they don't allow us to move forward, right? So what I'm cheering for, I was publicly cheering for Uniswap the day that SushiSwap launched, because I said, look, we know who the good actor here is and who the bad actor is. Absolutely. And if we vote to support the wrong actor, then we can't blame anybody else, So we just voted. I mean, we have millions of dollars in Uniswap, right? And we voted to support the project. We put all of our assets with Uniswap. We didn't put a single dollar with SushiSwap, right?
I've never even visited the site.
Right. Perfect.
Like, I love Uniswap.
So,
I think they're doing good things.
Exactly. So if we as a community all focused on what's best for the community, it's okay to make money. I'm not saying in any way, oh, we should all be nonprofits and do everything for free. You should do well, but you should only do well after you did good. That's all I'm saying.
Kind of on this channel, we try to always look at long term. Like we want to be relevant 5 years from now. We don't want to be relevant. And we all saw what happened during the last bull run with a lot of projects and ICOs and content creators. They were here. And now it's actually funny, me and one of my employees here, we were looking yesterday at some YouTubers that we used to watch. And we were just like, man, these guys don't even make videos anymore. And it's like they're, they got a lot of flack for different things that they did. And it's hard though, I mean, when you are in this space and we're talking about, leading the revolution of money in the world, it's a lot of pressure sometimes, and it's hard to make right decisions all the time because you don't always know what they are. But I think if you just keep that in mind, like what you said, like everything we do is to push the space forward, not to pull it backwards. And, we see a lot of that, with the rug pulls and the scams, but even with kind of like, it's disappointing to me to see cryptocurrency get away from, even though like it makes me money, like it's hard for me to see cryptocurrency get away from a lot of those original ideals it was launched as, and I know you're a big believer in, the idea of decentralization, and we are moving to a place where PayPal just jumped into crypto. What does that mean? I think we're kind of at a point of no return where mainstream is coming, and it's like, we're going to get what we want, but then at the same time, like it's going to come with a lot of negative things. I want to ask you one other thing about, you were talking about your business model and things like that. You guys recently got a bunch of funding from Tether. Is that right? You want to talk about that a little bit? A big.
Sure. Yeah. So just like in the ICO where we did a crowdsourcing effectively, we had about 1,500 participants. And when we wanted to put more money, basically Tether, we have a lot of business with Tether, and they were like, can we put some money into the, to invest in the company? They're also an investor in a bunch of other, they invested in Aave, they invested in a few other great projects. So it's not like they only invested in Celsius, but I think we are their largest single investment, right? So they put $10 million in, and I was like, when I met with them, I said, look, I want to make sure you guys don't change the business model. I don't want you coming in and saying, Alex, you're giving too much to the community, you're not giving enough to shareholders. And they're like, no, you call the shots. We don't even need a board seat, right? And I was like, you never get, if you get money, 10 million from a VC, they don't just want one board seat. They want most of the board seats, So here I was like, wow, these guys really believe in the mission. They're not here to basically put cuffs on us. They're here to help. And then we also opened it to the community. So we went to our community, which back at the day we had like 70 or 80,000 people, and said, look, we don't want to take the rest of the money from the VCs. We want to do a $20 million round. We gave 10 million to Tether. We'll let you guys participate. Here, come in for 10 million, right? And like within a few days, over 2,500 people applied. Now, many of them weren't qualified investors, or they weren't accredited or whatever. Each country has its own rules, but we partnered with Bank to the Future to basically run that crowdsourcing for us. And they qualified about 1,040 people out of the 2,500. They made the investment, and we raised another about $11 million. So the total is about 21 million all in. And that capital, we actually haven't used that capital. We're a profitable company. So we just put it in, and it's sitting there in case, a rainy day comes in. Yeah. What I think is shocking people, right? Especially like when you see crypto.com cutting everything back and basically saying we have to become profitable, whatever. What's shocking people is they're saying, wait a second, how can you give 80% to your depositor and be profitable, right? That's the piece that people go like, Alex is lying. There's no way. No one has ever done this before. And I'll argue with you that Amazon is giving you more than 80%. I would argue with you that Costco, for example, is giving you more than 80%, right? So the most successful companies in the world are giving you more than 80%, right? Because they are long-term players. They're planning on having 1 billion customers, not 1 million customers. And we're here for the long term. We're not here. We're not like, oh, sell token is up 2,000%. Time to cash out. Let's go do the next thing. Where's my Lambo? You know, like
I know, right? Your
as you
fancy
can
New York
see-
City apartment. I see it right behind you, Alex.
Yeah, I don't think I need that. And I've tens of millions of dollars of my own money in the Celsius app next to your money, earning exactly the same interest. So for me, I'm the largest shareholder of Celsius, and I'm saying I don't need the money on the shareholder side. I'll just earn interest just like the rest of my all the other people are sitting next to me on the same bus, you know. So that's really what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, kind of underlying that, I think, is the belief that, I mean, you said it, like, not 1 million customers, 1 billion customers. That's what these other companies are looking at. Now, for you guys, I don't know what that
crypto needs that. Crypto needs it
Yeah.
more even than Celsius. Crypto
Yeah.
doesn't survive unless it has 1 billion customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I guess my question to you would be, how do you see that happen? Like, let's shift here for the last few minutes and let's talk about where we think crypto is going. And then, you know, I'm sure we can talk about how Celsius fits in there. How do you think we go about getting that billion people? I know you guys want to get the first 100 million, but it's going to take more than that. How do you kind of see that playing out over the next few years or decades or however long you think it's going to take?
So look, I for years, right, the debate was, is it a store of value? Is it a form of payment? And a lot of people tried to go and turn Bitcoin or Ethereum into a form of payment. I'm not a believer in that. Anyone, you and me know that anyone who spent their coins to buy pizza or a sofa or a Lambo is regretting that, because now he's thinking to himself, this Lambo cost me $10 million, right? So why propagate that? Right? All we need to do is to hodl and then earn yield on that hodl, right? That's all Celsius does. Celsius basically said, look, it's all about yield. It's all about interest income. The largest killer app in the world that is going away because of central banks, because of all the stuff that's happening with the Fed and everybody else, is if you can deliver yield on stable coins or Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything, everybody's going to come and join you. That's all I've been saying now for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, right? So now it's obvious because of DeFi, everybody's saying, of course, it's all about yield. But when you and me were at that conference and I was standing there and talking about yield, people were like, what? You're going to pay us 7%? You can't do that, you know? So I think we made a huge leap of progress, right? Of going in the right direction, of kind of shifting away from let's create a form of payment to let's create yield. But the underlying killer app is still store of value, right? I think that's not going away.
Absolutely.
Now we have a second layer, right? It's like Web 2.0, right?
Absolutely.
They call it we have escape velocity. You have the moon behind you. So we can finally make it. We can finally moon, you know? And
well, it's like Andreas Antonopoulos says, you know, the internet of money. And someone else has now coined the term the internet of value. You know, that's the 2.0. Tearing down the walls in between having to, you know, use a payment processor to process a payment when we have the internet to send money. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how it develops. I love that. You're speaking my language here because I've been saying that for years now. You know, Bitcoin's never going to be a formal payment. There's a lot of runoffs and other things that can happen from that. But I think Ethereum is really out there, you know, building the internet of value right now. And that's why decentralized finances blow up and NFTs are, you know, blowing up now. Gaming's about to blow up. It's definitely going to be, you know, very interesting seeing where everything's headed.
It may be 20 years from now, but you just can't put the fourth floor where the second floor is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So if the first floor is the store of value, the second floor is yield, right? And income. So I think we all agree on that. Now it's kind of clear and everybody's finally going in the right direction. But it's on us, on all of us, to bring the next 100 million or 1 billion people by actually convincing people that this is a safe place for them. And the scammers and the hacks and all of these exchanges go out of business is all slowing us down, right? So for every PayPal that's joining, when you have that scare on like OKX or some other thing, these are things that really slow us down.
Absolutely.
So we gotta look. We need more good actors. We need to clean up kind of the history of crypto. And we need more people like you that go every day and educate people on what it's all about. So, kudos. You stuck through during the nuclear winter, the crypto
Yeah.
winter, and now you're killing it. So I got to
Thank
give you
you.
credit for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's the part that people don't see, were all the videos I made that nobody saw, so just all of, and it's not just, content creation, but crypto projects as well. Everybody that just kept their head down and kept building, kept learning, kept educating. I think everybody's going to, reap some pretty good rewards here on the next run. And I don't know personally, thinking about adoption and mainstream and, all the buzzwords, I try to think about when that's going to be, and it's like if you would have asked me 3 years ago, I would have said 5 years. You know what I'm saying? And like every single time I get asked that question, I think no, it's a little bit longer and a little bit longer. I mean, we're talking about a total revolution of economies, a total revolution of the way the world functions and the way the world does business. Probably, kind of like a new industrial revolution is kind of what we're facing. Now, I think one thing I've said is, we had the internet boom, we had the tech boom, we had the .com boom, we had the industrial age, obviously, the automobile explosion when those first started going in mass production, things like that. To me personally, I'm seeing like the digitalization boom next, where everything is going digital, and us watching our money go digital is only kind of the first piece of that. And we're going to see a lot more. So it's going to be an interesting 20 years, I think.
Yeah, you're definitely right. And look, it's not just about what we do as crypto community. It's also what happens to the economy, right?
Yeah.
So if the economy craters and we're really going through very hard time, a depression, that's all obviously going to accelerate the need for Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is the most popular it's ever been in Argentina and in Turkey and in Brazil and in Venezuela, right? So why? Because they're going through this distress of the fiat currency. Also, you have these three-horse race between the central bank digital currency, CBDCs, right? You have the Libras of the world, the corporate version, and you have the public internet equivalent, which is the blockchain, the Bitcoin on the public blockchain, right? The open ledger. So those three are competing with each other. It's not clear, just like in 1995, it wasn't clear that the internet is going to win. Right now, it's not clear that Facebook or the Chinese government is not going to own everything we're talking about 10 years from now. So each person who's watching this has to decide, what do I vote with my wallet? Do I vote for the bank, for the old legacy stuff? Do I vote for Libra? Do I vote for the Chinese yuan? Or do I vote for the public option, right? For the Bitcoin, for Ethereum, and so on. So, and again, we have a limited time. It's not like we have all the time in the world, and no matter what we do, we're gonna win, right? How many good technologies died on a vine because they didn't have mass adoption? So I'm in a big hurry to help educate people. Back then, we used to go to conferences. Now we just do 5 Zooms.
I can't wait till we go to conferences again. They will be fun one day.
Yes. So and next time you'll be the big star on stage. Everybody's like, oh, look.
Maybe we'll see.
So it's up to us. All I'm saying is, like we need to work even harder to convince people to join this revolution and vote with their wallet for the public option.
It's what we have to do. We're in such an interesting time right now with the CBDCs, and news just came out that like the people that tested the digital one were like, it's not that great, So that was interesting. Then we had Jerome Powell come out from the Federal Reserve talking about, hey, we're kind of open to using the private sector maybe for our digital dollar, and it's a fascinating time. We got the PayPal news. We all know, all of us that have been in here.
Just remember, none of those things is limited supply. Not exactly. The Chinese yuan, not the US dollar, not Libra. The only thing that's limited supply is Bitcoin. Even Ethereum is not limited supply. Well, let me correct that. It's Bitcoin and Cell token, because
there you go.
You can't even mine Cell token. There is only 695 million ever made. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you would think that more cryptocurrency creators would have been like, hey, yeah, that's the secret juice. That's the formula, the limited supply. But
no, they keep dumping on their community, right?
Even Ripple said, like, hey, we kind of have to stay open. So
right, they're dumping. I think Ripple dumps like 1 billion tokens every month or something. Yeah. Right. So it's not, their total supply is limited, but the total supply is like 100 billion, right?
It's 84 billion, I think.
Or 84 billion, whatever the number is. Oh, it's 100 billion, I think, for crypto.com. Sorry.
Yeah.
I confused my projects. But
I'm an altcoin maximalist, so I try to know these things.
My point is that it's limited supply versus unlimited supply.
Absolutely.
And because we live in the world of unlimited supply, we don't think, okay, what's the difference between the dollar and XRP? Huge difference between, that's why there's only one Bitcoin.
That's right. And it's true. And the store value is definitely showing itself to be very solid. So yeah, it's a very interesting time. Really looking forward to seeing, how everything develops over the next few years. Alex, this interview's been incredible. I think the people got a lot out of it. Where can people find you specifically if they want to find out more about what you think about crypto?
Twitter @Mashinsky, my last name. Our website is celsius.network. I do still use email and I answer my own emails. So alex@mashinsky.com, my last name. But come join us on Telegram, Celsius Network. We have a great YouTube channel with hundreds of videos of content and educational stuff. So again, just do a search for Celsius Network on YouTube, and hopefully see you in person in the next conference.
Yeah.
So definitely. And by the way, so we also give loans. So if you don't want to sell your crypto, we give you 1% loans. You can borrow against your crypto instead of selling it at 1%. And right now we're running a promo. I think you get $50 or $100 depending on what the size of your loan. If you basically apply for a loan, you just download the app, you apply for a loan and you use the promo code, which is, do you think I remember the promo code, right? Treat. If you use the word treat, you can get $50 or $100 if it's more or less than $3,000 loans.
So this settles the age-old question: trick or treat? The answer is treat.
You killed it right there. Listen, if this crypto thing doesn't work out, me and you, stand-up comedy.
That's
on the Upper East Side. They'll take us anytime. So.
Yeah, had to be after the Corona's over. We'll come up there. We'll make it happen. So
you have the same humor like me, dead jokes, day and night.
Yeah, definitely. Well, when I was a kid, they just said I was a corny. But now I've got children, they say they're dad jokes.
Now you proved it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Alex. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. We'll drop all the links down below for you guys to check out. Hey, that's all I got. Be blessed. BitBoy out.